In this video, we'll be revealing the 7 retirees who should not claim Social Security early. Through working with countless clients who made early claiming decisions that they later regretted, we've discovered that certain retiree situations make delaying Social Security benefits more important for long-term financial security. And that's exactly why we're making this video today, to identify the 7 retiree types who should not claim early and show you how to avoid these costly Social Security mistakes. So let's get right into it. So let's start with the first group, high-earning spouses. So if you're the higher earner in your household, claiming Social Security early doesn't just shrink your own benefit, it permanently reduces what your spouse can receive as well. And here's why this really matters. If you claim early, you're limiting the combined household benefit between the two of you. Spousal benefits are tied to your full retirement amount, and survivor benefits equal 100% of the higher earner's check. So by locking in a reduced amount too soon, you're not just cutting your monthly income, you're cutting your family's income for decades to come. Now, on the other hand, if you wait beyond your full retirement age, which is 67 for most people, then your benefit grows by about 8% per year until age 70. So that's roughly about a 24% increase of real guaranteed growth that directly strengthens the household benefit that you both enjoy. But also, your spouse may depend on that for the rest of his or her retirement. Now, why is this early claiming by a high earner an issue for the whole family? Well, it comes down to how spousal and survivor benefits are calculated. So a spouse's benefit is capped at 50% of the higher earner's full retirement amount. But if the higher earner claims early, well, that amount drops permanently. Now, separate from that are the survivor benefits. So they're based on whichever benefit is higher between the two spouses, which means that if the higher earner locks in a reduced check early, well, that reduced amount becomes the surviving spouse's income for life. So in other words, this one early decision, it ripples through the entire retirement for decades. So if you're the high earning spouse, well, that's a big consideration. You don't want to limit the household's benefit. Now, the next group who should avoid claiming early are people who are still working. And here's why. If you're under the full retirement age and you continue to earn above $22,320 a year, Social Security applies what's called the earnings test. So for every $2 that you earn above that limit, $1 of your Social Security benefit is withheld. In fact, your income, if it's too high, your benefit can be completely withheld for the year. So instead of getting that steady income, you're left with an unpredictable benefit stream that makes it much harder for you to plan with confidence, because even though you've turned on that benefit, you're not going to see those dollars hitting your bank account. Now, why does this earnings test make early claiming a no-go for working people? Well, first, many people, they cross that income threshold without even realizing it, especially if they pick up a consulting part-time work or any other type of part-time job in retirement. So when this happens, the benefits, they get withheld unexpectedly, and that creates cash flow problems. So on top of that, the combination of the irregular checks and the lost flexibility, it makes early claiming far more complicated than most people expect. By contrast, delaying not only avoids the earnings test altogether once you reach your full retirement age, but it also ensures that your benefit is higher and it's much simpler for you to manage. So people who are working and they're not yet their full retirement age, they face this reduction of penalty problem called the earnings test. But what about people who have a long life expectancy? Well, they might sacrifice some substantial lifetime income. So if you expect to live a long life, claiming Social Security early can be an expensive mistake. And here's why. Good health and strong family longevity patterns, they often favor waiting. Social Security rewards you with about an 8% increase for every year that you delay benefits past your full retirement age until age 70. So for someone who lives into their 80s or beyond, a break-even analysis often shows that delayed claiming produces far more income over a lifetime. In fact, the difference between claiming early and waiting until 70 can add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars in extra benefits for those with long retirements ahead. Now, as a brief aside, if you need help with your retirement planning, don't forget, you can click the link below where me and my team, we've created a detailed video that shows you exactly how we help people to retire with calmness and clarity. So be sure to check that out. Now, let's talk about another group, married breadwinners. So if you're the primary earner in your household, claiming Social Security early doesn't just impact you. So it can leave your surviving spouse with less income for the rest of their life. And here's why. Surviving spouses, they're entitled to 100% of the deceased spouse's benefit. But if you, as the breadwinner, you claim early, well, that smaller check becomes the survivor benefit that the spouse has to live on. And since women statistically outlive men by several years, then this issue often affects widows most directly. So by delaying maximizing your benefit, you're not just securing your own retirement, you're protecting your spouse's financial security long after you're gone. Now, married breadwinners, they've got important considerations to make, but what about people who are wealthier? Well, I'd call this group the wealth and legacy builders. So those are people who they don't need Social Security right away, and instead they want to capture guaranteed growth opportunities. So by waiting past full retirement age, Social Security grows at about 8% per year until age 70. And unlike most investments, this growth is inflation protected and backed by the government. So for retirees that have other assets they can use to cover their expenses in the meantime, well, delaying isn't just about maximizing their own income. It's about creating more lasting security and legacy value for their families. And the reason that this works for them is that they've got a larger amount of money that's creating inflation-adjusted income. And so that just takes the pressure off of their other nest egg, and it allows them to target a healthy rate of return, which contributes to their overall wealth-building goals. So wealth builders, they're after that guaranteed growth. But there's another group who should consider carefully before they claim early. And these are the people who are undecided about where they want to live. You know, I've debated whether or not this one point that I'm making here should be in today's video. And I think so because we've seen it enough times. So if you're planning to move in retirement, whether it's across state lines or even just into a new community, your living expenses can change dramatically. Housing costs, state taxes, and even day-to-day expenses like healthcare or utilities, they vary widely depending upon where you land. So just because you think you know what your expenses are going to be, think again because they often change for people. The problem with claiming Social Security early is that it locks in your benefit before you know what your real expenses are going to look like. So by waiting until after you've settled into your new location and your lifestyle, you preserve the flexibility to match your Social Security income with your actual needs instead of guessing too soon. So the next group I'd call tax-sensitive retirees. And the tax-sensitive group, they're people who are purposely doing some tax planning to improve their future tax situation during retirement. Claiming your Social Security early creates tax bracket complications. And here's what I mean. Social Security, it isn't always tax-free. In fact, once your combined income passes certain thresholds, up to 85% of your Social Security benefits can become taxable. So if you claim early while also withdrawing from your retirement accounts or maybe other income sources that you have, you can push yourself into higher tax brackets without even realizing it. And that means that you could lose a lot of dollars over the course of your retirement from just the poor timing of Social Security. So by delaying Social Security and coordinating it carefully with your other withdrawals, you're not only going to grow your benefit, but you're also creating opportunities to minimize your lifetime tax burden. And your lifetime tax burden is something that you often hear people talk about when they're talking about tax planning. It's not so much about what your taxes are this year, but it's about what their total tax risk is going to be over their lifetime. So now that you understand all 7 retiree types, let's look at a personalized approach. One that's a little bit different than only looking at the typical advice that says everybody should wait as long as possible. The truth is that while delaying Social Security until 70 usually maximizes the dollar amount, that's not the only thing that matters. I like to approach it from the perspective of utility. So Derek Tharp wrote a post about this very topic. You know, with all of these reasons to wait to take your benefit, you also need to balance it with your personal utility. So a personalized utility approach starts with asking this question: when does money provide the most money to me? So maybe it's earlier in retirement when you're healthier and you want to travel, or maybe it's later when security and predictability matter more. So you also want to weigh in your health span, your risk tolerance for longevity and policy changes, and even your comfort level with drawing down your portfolio assets versus relying on guaranteed income. When you frame Social Security through the lens of personal utility, the decision becomes less about a one-size-fits-all rule and more about aligning your benefits with the life that you want to live. So, what ensures your Social Security timing truly lines up with your personal utility instead of just following generic advice? Well, it starts with focusing on when each dollar brings you the most satisfaction and impact in your life. And that might mean prioritizing income earlier when you're most active or later when security matters most. As much as possible, you'll want a plan that's flexible, one that can adapt as your health, market conditions, or your personal circumstances change. Coordinating your Social Security timing with your overall lifestyle goals and your spending preferences makes the decision part of a bigger retirement strategy, not just a numbers game. And it helps to work with professionals who understand utility-based planning instead of only chasing the maximum dollar amount, so you can help ensure that your benefits support the retirement that you actually want to live. Now that you understand the 7 retiree types who should think twice before claiming Social Security early, from high earners and working retirees to healthy individuals, to married breadwinners, wealth builders, relocators, and tax-sensitive retirees, you're in a much stronger position to make a wise, well-informed decision about when to start your benefits. If you want help maximizing your retirement potential as a whole, click the link below and you can watch a comprehensive training video that my team and I put together, and it walks you through exactly how we like to plan dream retirements, regardless of your situation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.